Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to talk about Year 4 and its larger story. After the recent conclusion of Season 9 and the final Manhunt mission in Lewis's Manhunt, it seems as though more people than ever are interested in the Division 2 story, which is awesome to see, and it's warranted, as I thought Season 9's story was fantastic. Probably the best level of storytelling and intrigue that we've seen maybe ever in the Division franchise, but despite how great it's been and how excited I am to see what's coming next, Season 10 is on the horizon here in just a few weeks. This all has raised one big concern for myself personally, and I think once we get into it a bit, some of you might start to share that concern as well. Before we fully dive in though, I want to give two big disclaimers. One, this video will contain spoilers for Season 9's Manhunt and story from beginning to end, so if you've not played it yet or finished it and you intend to, then you might want to click off and come back once you are indeed done. And two, I am aware that there are story spoilers out there for Seasons 10 and 11. They've been leaked online, and while this video isn't specifically revolving around speculating on future story, we're going to touch on a few points surrounding that. And just so everybody knows, I have not and do not want to read those spoilers. I really enjoy good storytelling, and that's what we're getting from the game right now, so I intend to let the devs in the game tell the story as it was meant to be unveiled. And while I always appreciate people trying to fill me in on stuff and keep me up to date, I would ask that if you have read the spoilers, please keep this comment section spoiler-free, both for myself and anybody else who may be trying to avoid them. Thank you in advance. I appreciate it. All right. Let's now dive into our main topic, Year 4's story. So many of you are probably aware Season 9 ended on a pretty big note. We finally got a glimpse into what all of the winks and nods and secrecy is that's been swirling around ever since Season 3. Not everything, there's still plenty of questions left to be answered, but learning about some of the Hunter's origins with McManus and Homeland Security, to finding out all about Faye and Barden's plot they've had running, to the True Sons and their efforts. I mean, it was a lot. And while I don't think we're getting there in the immediate future, the implication Season 9 sets up is that a major conflict is coming. There's a big threat brewing between whatever portion of the Black Tusk Natalia has control over to the Hunter program McManus runs, and they've been trying to expand. The fact that the two of them were and probably still are plotting to get their hands on nukes. The notion that the entirety of the True Sons forces have been fighting back against this threat and have been struggling, at least not gaining any substantial ground. It's vague, but it's clear that the stage is set here for a real major conflict, if that's what the devs have in mind. A war, pretty much, between the Division, True Sons, Black Tusk, and Hunters. And that's where my concern lies. The fact that these things are so vague right now, and the fact that Division always seems to find a way to downplay big events, what am I really talking about here? My concern is that as exciting as I think this new direction for the story is, I'm worried that with the seasonal content model and how they're able to deliver story through that this conflict they're teasing has no possible chance of being accurately or faithfully played out. In my view, the seasonal model in Division 2 does its best work at building intrigue and suspense and revealing one, maybe two big things really well by the end of the season. Case in point, Season 3. The Hunter shows up during each of the bounties, fighting both us and the targets. By the time we get to the final mission, we learn that it wasn't, just for no reason, that there is some sort of partnership happening between the Hunter and the Black Tusk. Season 4, the entire time we're pursuing these targets, they keep alluding to some sort of big crazy plan that Faye is plotting, and we learn at the end that that's to assassinate the president. Season 9, we're getting all these fragmented clues about these different storylines, motivations, etc. And by the end, the one big singular event of the Hunter recruitment session at Jefferson helps finish the portrait that the rest of the season has been painting. What the seasonal model does not work very well for, at least in the ways we've seen it done so far in Seasons 1 through 9, is portray big, real-time events. Season 9 definitely did it best, and it was really cool to see all of the different moments with the Hunter and the culmination with the big fight in the courtyard, but that's a far cry from the potential kind of conflict that is currently being set up, which again is some sort of big war between all of these different factions. So my concern is that this big boiling point we're building towards is either going to be anticlimactically averted somehow, or it'll be portrayed very disappointingly and probably primarily off screen. I mean, just think about it. The way the seasons are structured, how are you going to portray different battles and confrontations and the twists and turns of war and lead up to a final confrontation that's as large in scope and significance as it should be? Maybe a few seasons down the line, the Manhunt mission takeover system has evolved enough to the point where they can make each of the sub-targets missions a bit more meaty and impactful, but still, my overall point here is that I don't personally believe the current seasonal model can faithfully portray the coming conflict that they're teasing. My fear is that we get to the culmination of all this several seasons down the line, and 90% of the conflict happens off-screen. We hear a bunch of different battles through audio logs we're collecting, and then Natalia Sokolova is somehow holed up in, Viewpoint Museum. And even if that mission recreation were somewhat cool, I think you guys get my point of how things would just feel a bit anticlimactic. And let me be clear, I would absolutely love to be proven wrong. Please, maybe in a year's time, the team has grown enough, they're able to evolve the seasonal model a bit more to offer more gameplay moments, more new stuff, and this can be faithfully played out. Awesome. But what I'm really getting at here is that it feels to me like this conflict and threat they're teasing can only accurately be played out in something like a new expansion or in Division 3. And due to the fact that we just got Year 5's confirmation for Division 2 not that long ago, I don't really think that bodes too well for the prospect of either of those. You know, right now we're still in the build-up phase. There's definitely enough mysteries and questions to be answered to keep us satisfied for another 2, maybe 3 seasons max, and hopefully they deliver some awesome gameplay stuff in the meantime in there, but you can't keep teasing this big threat and conflict forever, like to the end of Year 5. That ain't gonna fly. And for reference, when I say faithfully portraying this big conflict, I think the best example I can give of when Division went all out on giving us an awesome gameplay experience tied to story progression was Warlords of New York's finale on Liberty Island. Now, I know many of you very much dislike the story outcome from that, and that's completely fine, but for a villain of Keener's status and reputation, that mission needed to be big, surprising, and epic, and I think it was. We had to board a ferry, commandeer it, and sail it to Liberty Island through heavy firepower. We then had to fight a raid boss when they dropped a Razorback on us, get ambushed by a bunch of quadcopters, go through Keener's deception maze where he hacks into Isaac, and finally confront him where we could then plainly and physically see his plan in motion when he was trying to fire off the missile. There was no reliance on off-screen action, no alluding to big events through audio comms, nothing of the sort. We were there. We stormed the castle, we fought the big battles, we saw new threats and mechanics we'd never seen before, and eliminated the threat in a satisfying manner in a new location. That's the type of service I feel as though we need based off of what the devs are setting up with this new storyline. Maybe some of you will disagree with me, and that's fine. I'd love to hear your own thoughts about it. But my big concern at this point in time is that we aren't going to be able to get that level of an event through the seasonal model. And again, I would love to be proven wrong. Maybe they do an update in the future where, as opposed to the new main content being a new game mode or legendary missions like we're getting in Season 10, they do a supersized season with scripted missions for each of the sub-targets that have a final mission at an actual new location. That'd be really cool. But honestly, what I think would be cooler is by the time we fully understand the threat, we know their plans, etc., we get a new expansion where we go to a new city or even just an outskirt of DC somewhere new and wage this war against the Black Tusk with the Hunters, the True Sons at our side, and whatever other enemies or allies we make along the way. But as I said, with the announcement of Year 5, that seems unlikely. I mean, there's nothing saying that a new expansion couldn't be planned to bridge the gap between Year 4 and 5, but I just don't know if that's in the cards right now. That's about all I've got to give for this topic today, everybody. I'll be super curious to hear your thoughts about it, but yeah, I've just had this nagging concern regarding the story, which is annoying because I loved Season 9. Loved. I thought it was awesome, but it worked because the scale of the story isn't to its fullest yet. And once it does reach that scale where the conflict really begins, that's where my concern lies. But we'll see what happens. I really just wanted to get that out there for anyone who may be listening. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and be sure to subscribe with notifications on to get me updated every time I upload. Let me know your thoughts about this conversation surrounding Year 4 and its growing story. Do you share any of my concerns about the seasonal model's capability to deliver a fulfilling and exciting gameplay experience once we really get into the thick of this storyline and are in direct conflict with the coming threat? Maybe you see it the same as me. Maybe you think it will be sufficient or that I'm overlooking something. Whatever your thoughts are, be sure to leave them down below. I'll be very curious to read through them. Regardless of how it's all going to play out down the line, I am super excited for the story to pick back up later this month when Season 10 drops. It's just really fun to have the story be a major point of excitement for the game again, and so just know that this entire video and my concern about all of this is because I care for the game and the story, and I want to see it done justice, and I certainly hope it is, and we'll have to wait and see what's in store. That's all I've got for today, though, everybody. Once again, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and until the next one, guys, RogueGold.